is about. Also, from a general perspective, like what it is like to transfer from a high school senior to a college freshman. And while that experience might change a bit depending on your college, for the most part, the basic fundamental parts of it are the same. So yeah, let's get started. Like I said, my name is Rishabh Venketesh. I'm a mechanical engineering student, class of 2021. And the other college student, his name is Adithya. Adithya, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Adithya. I'm also a third year in Virginia Tech. I'm studying chemical engineering.
Okay. Um, so that being said, I'll just go a bit about my background. Um, so I attended Thomas Jefferson High School, and I was the class of 2017. For those of you guys who are in Nova, like Northern Virginia, you guys might know what that school is. It's like a science and tech school, and I got accepted into Virginia Tech. So currently, I'm a junior at Virginia Tech. I'm also the member of the Virginia Tech Corps Cadets, which I'll talk about later. And if you guys have any questions about what that is, please feel free to let me know. And yeah, I'm currently a federal employee at the National Institute for Standards and Technology. So that's kind of like my credentials, um, my academic career, if you want to say, summed up into a couple sentences. Aditya, do you want to talk about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I went to Chantilly High School, which is also in Northern Virginia, and uh, yeah, I study chemical engineering. I'm also pursuing a computer science minor, and had a couple of different internship experiences during my time at Virginia Tech. I had a summer internship with CACI, and then uh, a summer fall co-op with uh, the Hershey Company, and something I guess unique about my experience at Virginia Tech is I'm also doing undergrad research, and yeah, so
Okay.
that's about it.
So as you see, like me and him combined, we have a lot of different experiences. And for the majority of you guys that are interested in the tech field, we would be pretty good resources to ask about a lot of stuff on campus. So again, after the presentation, there's going to be a brief Q&A session. Please feel free to ask us anything that you guys are interested about. All right, next. Okay, so this slide's more geared towards juniors and people that haven't really applied for college yet. So just a brief summary of what's important when you guys are getting to college, right? So obviously the one thing everyone knows is your GPA.
Before you join?
Someone say anything? All right, sorry. So yeah, high school GPA, it's a pretty big factor in deciding what college you guys are going to get into. So for you guys that are juniors, like this year is pretty critical because you guys are taking all your APs, you guys are taking your AP tests and all that stuff. So that really plays a big factor into which college you get into. Because a lot of colleges, they view GPA as kind of like I'd say like a cutoff, right? So if you don't meet the minimum, they're not even going to consider you, right? But GPA isn't everything because once you meet a certain criteria for a school, what they usually start looking into are these other aspects. So college essays and applications, it's not as simple as writing your name up on a form and submitting it, right? It takes months and months of writing, proofreading your essays, going to your counselor, getting these recommendations. It's a long process, to be honest. And it's something that you don't want to leave to the last minute. And you can always talk to other people, like your seniors, the people in your high school, and they would easily help you with that process as well. Also, school counselors are a really good resource. But I would encourage you guys to look into that process when you guys are entering your junior summer. Obviously, for some of you guys are already juniors. If you haven't looked at it, it's fine, but definitely start working on those applications the summer before your senior year. That's when you want to get most of those done. Because for a lot of people, they want to do early decision or early action, and those deadlines are before or after winter break, like right after. So it's a very stressful time, and that's when midterms are happening as well. The next part is standardized testing. So SATs are a big thing. I know they're undergoing a lot of changes, especially with the coronavirus. They even changed the whole format of the test when I was in high school. So I'm not fully familiar with the current format, but SATs are also important. more so of like a basic proficiency exam than any like very strong criteria to whether you get into a school. But there's still something that you really want to work towards, especially if you want to get into those top tier Ivy League schools. Um, Extracurriculars, right? So that's a big part of applying to college. That doesn't only include like sports and stuff. It also includes like internship experience, work experience. Just because you think a job doesn't relate to your field doesn't mean it doesn't count. It actually helps you a lot because colleges usually value people with any sort of workforce experience. Adithya, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. So as far as the college application process is there's like a lot of different nuances, and I'm sure you seniors can have a better idea of what's going on as far as like current college application process. But yeah, there's a lot of variations between specific colleges. There's the general application for each college that and so there's, and as far as standardized testing, um getting a college board to send your scores to all the colleges. There's just a lot of different factors that go into it. So by the time you hit late junior year, you should really make sure you have a plan as far as maybe like which tests which standardized tests you want to send to your colleges, which colleges you plan on applying to, what kind of essays you want to write, or what's the, just make sure you like do your research, obviously, and put the due diligence in as far as preparing for it, because your senior year, you want to, besides doing college applications, you want to also be able to focus on your grades, focus on AP exams potentially. So make sure you prepare. And then as far as and for those of you who are seniors who are like still trying to decide, I guess, like, also like make sure you kind of prioritize what's really important to you. If you want to, if there's something, some people like there's something about specific about colleges, whether it's a certain engineering program or business program or any like or any other discipline that really speaks to them. So and if not, there's just the things to consider, like how far away from home you want to be, or what kind of your price range is. So there's so make sure you're kind of like taking it all into consideration and prior like figuring out what's important to you before you make that decision.
Yeah, definitely. All those are very important factors. Like I've known quite a few people that had gone to like top tier schools, and that was their main goal throughout the entirety of high school. But they never stopped to step back and look at it like, oh wait, I don't have the money to pay for this, right? So
Yeah.
not that they wasted their time, but they put so much effort into like 20, 30, not 30, thank God, but like 20 applications to top tier colleges, but they never consider like consult with their parents like, hey, can I afford this, right? And you can always take student loans, but for those of you, especially parents, know like student loan and student debts that's a huge problem in the United States of America and other countries as well. So just keep that in mind. So one thing I noted here, this is something particular to Virginia Tech. This is particular to Virginia Tech, is the Corps Cadets. So for those of you guys that are seniors and have already accepted admission into Virginia Tech and decided to go, the Corps Cadets, it's, how can I say this? It's like a 24/7 military style leadership development course. So at its basics, there's a lot of people in Virginia Tech that want to go into the military service, right? So that's like the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force, right?
Green Corps.
So all those people who want to go into the services, the Corps Cadets offers an ROTC option, right? So like it's you living with a bunch of people from different forces, and you guys collaborate, and you guys basically live that military style life for the majority of the school year, right? So it means like regimented exercise, uniforms, and all that stuff. There is another option for those of people who want that same military lifestyle or want to get that same level of discipline without going into the military. So that's what I'm doing. I'm a member of the Corps Cadets, and what they call is a citizen leader track. Okay, so Joshua, regarding marching band in high school, it is, I never did marching band in high school, so I can't fully attest to this. But the Corps Cadets is not just drill, right? So it will definitely help and it'll give you a strong basis for like the cadence and like how to march. But there's also a lot of aspects like maintaining your cool under pressure, making decisions under pressure. It's a very high stress environment, especially during freshman year. But the other side to that is because you're in the Corps Cadets, you start building kind of like life discipline lessons that help you a lot with your future career. And for those of you guys that don't want to go in the military, but do want to eventually go to the public sector, the Corps Cadets has a lot of different connections. So, for example, the program I'm in, which is not ROTC, it's called the Citizen Leader Track. The people in charge of that program have a lot of experience dealing with people from NASA, people from DARPA, people from all these three-letter agencies. So it's a very good opportunity for that as well. So Anish, regarding your question with the Honors College, I have some experience with the Honors College. For me, taking, Adithya, are you in the Honors College?
I was. So as far as I understand, the honors college is you can be as kind of involved as you want. They have a specific housing if you so choose. There's the Hillcrest community housing, and that's like kind of your own separate dorm for honors college students. But in general, it's more like there's a GPA requirement to stay. Then you do all these things to get honors credits. Some courses have an honors version of them, which is a bit, I guess, more accelerated. So this is mostly applies for like the earlier courses. So like the early calculus courses, you can take an honors version of those, and that'll give you honors credits. And the honors college has like a certain amount of honors credits requirements that you need to satisfy. You can get those besides the honors courses. You can do like research and get honors credits through that. There's like a couple of other ways to do it. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. And then as far as marching band goes, the Corps of Cadets has their own marching band, right? And so they're always like looking for people to join. So I think doing marching band in high school would probably improve your chances, help with like the Corps of Cadets, I imagine, if that's something you want to pursue in college as well.
Yeah, so the thing with the Corps Cadets, I mean, it's a great opportunity, but I would say like it is very time consuming, right? So you're literally living that life 24/7. Like most freshmen, they move off campus into their own apartments after freshman year. Most students, but the Corps, they stay, um, they stay in the dorms all 4 years. So you're basically living that life 24/7. That being said, you get a lot of positive social relationships, but it does take a lot of your time. So like Adithya did mention, they do have a program. It's a marching band called Heidi Tighties, which sounds a lot weirder than it actually is, but it's very good marching band. But yeah, no, there are other factors definitely. So someone asked, is there an advantage to the honors college? What I would say to that is what you do end up getting out of the honors college, you do get a diploma or like an extra something when you graduate. I don't know the specifics, but Aditya, do you know it's like a certificate or something?
Yeah, I think, you do. You might get, a certificate. I've heard of the honors diploma that might be, to have to do with the honors college.
I think you get an honors diploma. That being said, at least from my experiences for talking to employers, like they don't really look at what the honors college is. It's like, let me think of a better way to put it.
Well, I'd say like if as regards to like talking to employers about it, yeah, they, in general, like a lot of these things they might like employers won't understand initially, but you is something that if you explain to them, it's potentially might be relevant to the job you're pursuing. So same like Corps of Cadets, like if you present this as, okay, this is a leadership development program, then then that's something that would really help build your resume. It's yeah, that's kind of like part of the whole, I guess, as far as how that applies to getting jobs, is like how you present what you've done, and like how you kind of advertise yourself.
So yeah, I mean, adding to that, it's not going to hurt you if you don't have it. But if they look at two candidates, right, like one with honors college and then one with job experience, they're going to go for the person with job experience. But if both candidates have job experience and one is in the honor college, that might give him the extra boost, depending on how he presents it and how he interviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so as far as the difference between honors college and regular college, so I mean, yeah, there's the opportunity to live with other honors college students, which would be kind of like its own unique thing. And then there's also this honors credits requirements, and that would be one of the other key differences. Calhoun Discovery Program. Not sure. Is that one of the living learning communities? I think that might be.
Do you know
Uh,
what major or what general area it's associated with? Manish? Okay, so someone asked, what is honors college in the first place? Okay, so again, what honors college is, it's kind of like an extra feather in your cap, basically, right?
yeah,
It's
it
literally what
is
it is. Like when you
right.
graduate and you have like the graduation cap, you get to add like an extra like
Tassel, I think, or something like
tassel
that.
to your cap. It's just like a thing with distinction. So
Right.
if you say like I graduated from Virginia Tech, okay, I graduated from Virginia Tech with honors. That's all it is. It's just like an extra thing. It's the same as when you're doing in your high school, like when you're doing honors courses versus normal courses. It's just an honors course. Some of them are more advanced, but for the higher disciplines, like Adithya mentioned, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. The thing that is different about the honors college and what you might want to consider is that you have to take extra credit hours in order to get that diploma. And you can not drop out, you can leave the honors college at any time without any penalty to your normal degree. Okay, so the Calhoun Discovery Program, definitely look at the Virginia Tech's website. If you want more information, I don't know how it works right now, especially with the coronavirus, but you could probably contact someone within that department. Sorry.
So yeah, it's looking at the site, it sounds like kind of it's a specific track. So each like within the engineering track, this sounds like one of like an opportunity to maybe mix in uh different disciplines, and then based on that you can get kind of like your own distinction through the program.
Yeah. Liam, what does CNRE mean? Is that an acronym? Oh, okay. Okay. So the College of Natural Resources and Environment. Yeah, so I mean that's the way Virginia Tech's academic system is organized. They have different colleges. So College of Engineering, College of the Liberal Arts, and that's one of the College of Natural Resources and Environment. Liam, do you have any specific questions about the slide? Okay, I'll talk about that right now. So the next slide is basically about freshman year and some of the biggest changes you'll undergo through the transition. So the number one thing is when you're a senior, right before you, like, so after you graduate, I think it's after you graduate, and before you become a student at Tech, um, you're gonna go through an orientation process. What that involves, it's kind of like a comprehensive tour of all the Virginia Tech buildings, all the Virginia Tech resources, and that'll give you a much better in-person idea of what I'm talking about when I talk about the VT campus life. All right, so I definitely recommend you guys to go to orientation. You get a lot of useful information out of that as well. Um, so that's one thing Virginia Tech does to help you guys ease into that freshman year situation. Regarding campus life, there's a lot of things to do around campus. It's a very vibrant community, and Blacksburg is also a college town, right? So most of the town is centered around Virginia Tech, right? That being said, you won't see a lot of local people that often, especially as a student, but there are opportunities to interact with the local people outside of, I guess, Virginia Tech's campus. So Blacksburg is not that big of a place, but there are surrounding areas like Christiansburg and Roanoke where you can talk to people that are like, there's like service opportunities, like soup kitchens and all that. But regarding campus life, it's pretty much very active, especially like in times when the weather's better. So like the summer and the spring, you can definitely see people outside walking. There's a lot of things to do on campus. That goes hand in hand with my next point, the dining facilities. So for Virginia Tech, it's currently number one or top five um, in terms of the quality of its food, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but you have to realize like you're eating dining hall food like every single day. Like you might think I have the chance to make my own food, but in reality, especially as a freshman, you guys are going to be pretty busy. So this is something that a lot of people are attracted towards. And if there's not one of the reasons they choose Virginia Tech, it's eventually ends up being one of the reasons that they like are happy that they chose Virginia Tech and that they're proud of being a Virginia Tech student. So the next part about campus life is recreational facilities. They do have gyms, right? So those gyms are usually open from 5:30 a.m. to like 11 p.m. So it's a pretty long range of operating hours. There's two on campus. One is currently getting renovated, but they have everything you might need. So they have a pool, a basketball court, racquetball, pretty much anything you could think of. So the biggest thing about freshman year, however, is not like campus life and all that. It's your roommates, because I mean you can make a point to spend as much time as you want, but for most people, they spend a strong majority of their time freshman year inside the dorms, right? So these roommates, like they're the ones that you guys are going to have to depend on, and so that's why it's important to make sure that when you're becoming a student, you do have the option to kind of select what your roommate is going to be. Adithya, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I'd say so like generally the way college is towards your first year, the people you'll be seeing in your classes, you probably won't be interacting with them as much in the future because you guys probably won't end up you'll probably be branching out to your different like major curriculum. So so generally people like the friends that you make your freshman year, if it'll likely be like outside of classroom. It'll be like your roommates or people on your floor in your dorm. And yeah, so not to say that the people you meet in your class won't you won't keep in touch with, but it's more likely that you'll form like closer friendships with people that you're living with. So yeah, I definitely agree with that as far as with what Rishabh said. And then for like dining facilities, yeah, I'd say like a lot of most campuses, most like college campuses, they don't have so like Virginia Tech has I think like 4 dining halls, and it's which is pretty convenient because like you want to be able to sometimes if you're hungry you want to be able to just get food without having to think about it too much, and that's kind of one of the advantages of having such a large dining services within a college. I know for like UVA, I think there's like 2 dining halls, and they're all pretty far away from each other. So um, yeah, so that's kind of one of the advantages of having that. And then as far as updates on the innovation campus, so that's the one in Alexandria, the campus in Alexandria. I can't really speak to that. Yeah, don't have much experience with besides the main campus in Blacksburg.
Yeah, most
Um,
students won't really have like that big of an experience with satellite campuses
yeah,
unless they travel abroad or study abroad. But even then, most people don't, like at least from my circle of friends, they don't really know anything about the Alexandria campus.
yeah, uh, uh, yeah. I mean, it sounds like they're putting a lot of investing a lot into that. So maybe it's worth taking a look into. The Indian community in Virginia Tech is yes, it's pretty large. You got
It's pretty big.
a large Indian American population from like Northern Virginia. There are a lot of people from Jersey that come down to Virginia Tech, to go to school in Virginia Tech. So
There's also
that's
international students.
yeah,
So off the
international
top of my
students.
yeah, so off the top,
Some of my best friends are international students from India. So yeah, there's
yeah,
quite a few.
yeah, there's quite a few. In terms of how you can get involved with the Indian community, I'm not that great of an expert. From what I understand, there's a few big organizations on campus. One of them is ISA, which is Indian Student Association. And there's also SIA, which is Student Indian Association. Don't ask me what the difference is. I have no idea. Um, and then there's also other things like Bhangra. There's a Bhangra team. I think there's other dance teams, but I don't really know the full extent. I'm not really involved in those programs. I go to some of their events, but I'm not incredibly involved. But there's definitely a big Indian community on campus. In terms of Indian food, you might be out of luck.
Yeah,
Blacksburg, while it is a college campus, the town itself is still in South Virginia. So, I mean, you won't
there's
have a
a couple of options in Roanoke if you're willing to drive, but yeah, the Indian food options in Blacksburgs are pretty sparse.
yeah. So if anyone's concerned about that, um, so basically, the next thing I want to talk about is dorm life, right? So there's three main categories of dorm life that people have as freshmen. So there's LLCs, which are living learning communities. Um, going to Anisha's question, the hours for dining, they usually range. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adithya, but the latest is at 2 a.m. Right? D2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
DX,
DX.
yeah, which is so yeah, the latest I guess that is like the latest dining option is technically it's kind of like a convenience store and it's like it'll be open till 2 a.m. But as far as like actual dining halls, I think most of them close 9:30 p.m.
9:30,
in the night
10,
and
around
they
that time.
open like 7:30 at the earliest.
Yeah, some of them open earlier, like at 7.
Oh, really? Okay.
But Turner's because all the cadets go there.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, no, those are the hours for dining. You can look on the website, and they have like a very comprehensive schedule. They even have a whole system of recording what meals are being served on that day, what are the caloric counts of those meals, different nutritional information. So, like when I said Virginia Tech takes dining facilities very seriously, I wasn't joking. It's a pretty big deal there, and it's really good for people that are health conscious because you can watch what you want to eat. Um, yeah, so going back to LLC, it's a living learning community. I personally wasn't allowed to be in an LLC because I was in the Virginia Tech Core Cadets. Aditya, were you in an LLC?
No, I didn't go in any of the LLCs. I know that there's so basically based on there's an L like a living learning community for engineering for business kind of. There's a lot of different ones, and from what I understand, it's they all kind of live in like the same floor of a certain dorm, or yeah, and then they spend a lot of time together. Like they'll have their own course that you would take associated with the LLC, and yeah, it's just kind of a way to join your own community of people with shared interests. Yeah, that's as far as I understand. That's about it.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't play. Sorry, it doesn't play that much of a role after your sophomore year,
yeah, right.
unless you can choose to be one of like the I guess the supervisors for it.
Yeah, like an RA,
Yeah,
president of
like an RA. But for the most part, it's kind of a way to like get eased into the college process. I mean, it's not required, not by a long shot, but it's definitely something. Same thing with the honors college. Like you can, if you're talking to an employer, you can tell them like, hey, I was in an LLC. This is what we did. Because a lot of them have skills like similar to entrepreneurship, um, stuff like that. So it is a good opportunity, but it's not something that's required, not by any means. The next thing is regular dorm life. So the thing about most of the student dorms, you guys will see they do vary in quality. Um, some of them are definitely older than others, and that's something that you want to take into account. And they
Yeah,
also adjust for that in the tuition and the room and boarding.
yeah, they vary in price point as well.
Yeah.
So
So, but I mean, most of them are pretty good. I think a majority of them have air conditioning, which is pretty important.
right, yeah,
And they all have a cleaning staff that works there basically every day. The only thing there is you don't want to overload the cleaning staff because they're all nice people and they're literally taking care of you guys when like basically like your parents almost, minus like the face-to-face interaction. So you do want to treat them with respect. Um, the Virginia Tech, I talked about this earlier, the Virginia Tech Core Cadets, they have their own 2 dorms. They're probably one of the newer dorms on campus, and they're pretty nice. But then again, students live there all 4 years. So that's the downside. If you really want to look for your own place, get an apartment, then the core is probably not for you. But if you're fine with living in a dorm for all 4 years, the Virginia Tech Core Cadets, I mean, that's one of the only ways you can make sure you live in a dorm all 4 years. Well, another thing is obviously because it is a military style leadership course, they do require rooms to be cleaned. They do inspections, making sure everything's like neat and tidy and all that. So that's another thing to think about if you guys were ever figuring out how to do, if you wanted to do the core cadets. The roommate selection for honors college, again, I don't exactly know how that works specifically, but I think the way it works is you can set a preference for a roommate. And usually those preferences are pretty, like, they're treated well, right? So if you request someone and they request you, there's a high chance of you getting with that roommate. Outside of that, I'm pretty sure it's random. They might have like some options to talk about general interests. For example, like if someone's like, this is a very bad example, but if someone's um, very messy, like they might be able to say like, hey, I'm not completely organized or something. Or if someone's like a neat freak, right? They can say, hey, being clean is a very important thing to me. Like if they have OCD or something like that. There are rooms for preferences like that. But for the most part, it is random unless you have something specific in mind.
and then so one thing I'd want to add to this slide is so like as if a lot of people end up moving off campus, so when they do go on campus, they want kind of like somewhere to sit where they can like study, and usually that's the library or one of the student centers. So there you'll find like good seating areas, desks, power outlets, and so yeah, it's been getting more and more crowded with since Virginia Tech's been accepting more people, but yeah, that's kind of someplace where you'd likely find yourself a lot.
Regarding Josh's question, your roommate doesn't have to be in the same grade, but keep in mind that most people move off campus after their freshman year. Unless you're in the core cadets, but even then, as a freshman, you can't room with upperclassmen. You have to room with other freshmen. So, I mean, you can, but the chances of you doing so are not that high. Unless you have someone like you know them and you know that they're trying to get back into the dorms. If that's the case, then yeah. But again, one thing I do want to put out there is a good thing to consider when choosing roommates is college is not about sticking with the same people you know. right? Again, like it's like that defeats the whole purpose of the college experience, right? You want to end up getting to know different people. And in the real world, like when you're in a workplace, you're not going to be able to pick and choose who you work with. So college is a really good opportunity to experiment with that, get to know some people you wouldn't usually know at high school or at home. So I mean, this is my recommendation. Obviously, some people feel different, but I would recommend just seeing where the chances take you, right? For me, like I was in the Corps Cadets, so they don't let you choose who your roommates are. They just put you with a random friend, with a random freshman. And me and my roommate, we're still friends. Like, I mean, I'm probably going to be the best man to his wedding. Like, we're like really close. So it's something that you guys want to consider, getting to know different people. One last thing I wanted to touch on. I know there's a lot of questions coming to me about the honors college personally. The one thing I want to say is don't feel pressure to join the honors college, right? It's a good opportunity, but if you want to graduate in 4 years and you don't think you can take the extra credits, there's no reason to tack on another semester just for the honors college, right? The reason why I left is personally I didn't like they had some courses that they made me take and I didn't really feel like I was getting anything out of those courses. Obviously for some people it's different, but that was my personal reason for leaving, right? And it was a lot of like time commitment when I first looked at it because the amount you have to take 30 extra credit hours or something for the honors diploma. So it's not something like in high school where people are going to look down on you. I know it's like not supposed to be like that, but a lot of people look down on you, especially if you're like of a certain academic expectation. They look down on you if you don't take an honors course. It's nothing like that in college. Like no one even like knows that much about the honors college. Like it's just something that you can. It's a feather in your cap. You can present it to employers in a way that makes you look like a better applicant. But for the majority of people, it's not that big of a thing. So don't feel pressured to join the honors college. And even if you do join the honors college, like if you feel it's not working for you, then you can leave. But if you don't get in the honors college upon your acceptance into Virginia Tech, you can always apply to get in. So it's something that you can constantly. Okay, so Sid asked, what is the honors college? Okay, so I'll give a brief summary and then we'll have to move on. You guys can ask me in the Q&A. But the honors college is basically an extra thing you can get on your diploma, right? So you guys have heard like is that I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's kind of like that. I graduated with honors. What that means is you have to take certain honor versions of your normal academic courses. So for calculus, for example, right? If you're taking multivariable calculus, there might be a honors version of that, or linear algebra. There's an honors version. So you'll take those in addition to other honors classes. So like undergraduate research practices. And basically, if you fulfill all those credit requirements and those class requirements, you'll get an honors diploma, right? That's all it is. And there's also other stuff like you get to move into the honors dorm. But a lot of people want to move into their own place off campus, right? So again, it's a program that you can get involved in if you want to. But at the same time, like it's not worth jeopardizing your degree.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I mean, I think honors college is something people like look into a lot their freshman year because they're trying to like find something outside of classes that to do. So yeah, and like things like clubs will become like more like apparent when after you've been maybe like your second or third year, but even freshman year, like you should, if you're really looking for something to do kind of like outside of your just regular classes, then you should just try and go on your own and search for clubs. There's like thousands of clubs at Virginia Tech, and you can and it is kind of a different process than high school as far as like joining clubs, but it's very much so that you kind of have to like go and go put I guess like yeah, put yourself forward and like look for any clubs. If like if you're trying to find something to do your freshman year, then it's not really like they're gonna come to you. You're gonna have to go like look out for the other clubs.
Yeah, so the one thing I also want to add on to that is everything you do, every decision you take in college, um, the way that decision is evaluated is time, if that makes sense, right? So anything you choose, it has a corresponding cost of time. So if you choose to do the honors college, there's a certain time it takes out of your day that you can't devote to other stuff. If you choose to do a club, there's a lot of hours that go into that. So time is very important, right? I want to stress that. Don't overload yourself, especially freshman year, with a bunch of stuff. If you want to do the honors college, that's fine, right? That's a great idea. However, don't do the honors college, 2 clubs, and an intramural sport, right? That's unreasonable, right? So all we're asking you guys to do is before you guys make decisions, I know like realistically a lot of parents want their kids to enter in a certain program, which I understand, but you have to also realize like there's a there's only a certain amount of time you have in college, right? And you also want to figure out like the fact like, hey, I want to balance in life. I don't want to be completely academics. I want to make friends. I want to expound my social boundaries. So you do have to take all those into account. And like Adithya said, freshman year, you guys will not have that balance when you guys first enter. So going into the honors college, it's a good idea, right? But you guys might find out like, hey, I want some more time for this. I want to dedicate more time to this research team instead of doing like a random honors course that doesn't really pertain to me, right? So everything has a time cost. Just make sure you guys keep that in mind. So Anish
And
asked,
and Aditya, can you talk a little bit about the co-op program? You did
Oh
that
yeah,
recently, right? Yeah.
right. Yeah, sure. I can kind of do you have like a kind of like a career opportunities slide? And
yeah, we have another slide.
all right, yeah, I'll touch on it when we get there. As far as Nisha's question about bus transportation, so there is the Virginia Tech Breeze bus which goes from Blacksburg to Dulles Airport. Uh, that's like it has like a lot of stops along the way, so it's not just a direct route. So it's a bit longer, and I think it yeah. So they have it'll arrive at yeah. It comes to Blacksburg at 8, or there's a also it goes to drops you off at IAD in the afternoon, or there's probably I think there's an option to like leave in the afternoon and arrive at the evening, but yeah, either way, that's available like every weekend, and then there's
That's
also
the cheap
Home
option
Ride.
too.
Yeah, then there's also Home Ride, which will go from Blacksburg to Nova every Friday. Um, I personally would recommend joining a carpool group because and then carpooling with someone. People will put out advertisements for about like okay, I'm gonna drive from Blacksburg to Nova, and then you can message them, and it's generally much cheaper, and it's also not as like, and it's probably more comfortable to be honest. So yeah, if you're looking for transportation, I recommend carpooling probably over buses and most of
Yeah.
the time.
Also, another thing is, I mean, I know some kids that they go to college and they end up going back to their house over the weekends, which, I mean, that's a thing. Like, some people feel more comfortable at home. But again, like, college is a place where you push your boundaries, both socially and professionally. And if you spend most of your free time at home, then you might as well just attend a online university, right? So just make sure you guys keep that in mind. Like you you don't want to go back and forth every single uh, weekend. But for like breaks and stuff, there's a lot of different transportation options. So to come back during winter break, there's a lot of people. Just make sure you plan that in advance because a lot of people are going to take those bus spots very quickly. That's why carpool, like Adithya mentioned, is so beneficial. But yeah, so that kind of summarizes the biggest changes you'll undergo during freshman year. Let's see, next slide. All right, so academics. So for those of you guys, I'm assuming you got a majority of you guys want to enter in as engineers or some sort of related discipline. The way the engineering majors work at Virginia Tech, you enter in as a freshman under general engineering, right? What they do during general engineering, they give you a lot of high-level courses on like research practices, like basic CAD, basic programming skills. And after your freshman year, you can then choose which discipline you want to follow, right? So there's mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, aerospace, ocean systems engineering, material sciences. There's a lot of different disciplines within engineering that you can choose. So that happens your sophomore year, right? In terms of the class structure, it's not organized the same way it is in high school where you have to take 7 classes. You can take a minimum of 12 credit hours and a maximum of 19 credit hours, right? For your freshman year, I would strongly encourage you guys to stay within that boundary. What that means is, so every class, depending on its difficulty and the amount of hours the class meets, has its own assigned number of credit hours. So for example, a class like physics that has a lecture component and a lab component will be 4 credit hours, versus a class like statistics, which is very easy, only meets 2 hours, only meets twice during the week, will probably have a 2-hour credit number, right? So you add up all those credit hours and they should exceed 12, but they shouldn't exceed 19. You can exceed 19, and that becomes a thing when people want to do accelerated graduation. But the only thing about accelerating 19 is you have to get permission from your academic advisors. So this goes into my next topic. So you guys all came from high school. What do you guys do with all this like bucket load of APs you guys took? Right, a lot of you guys took random APs like AP Psych, AP Memology, if that's even a thing. Like I know a lot of people that took random APs just to put that on their college applications, right? So what Tech does, they take your APs, and depending on what grade you got on the AP test, they qualify for college credit. So for example, for me, I was able to skip chemistry my freshman year because I took AP Chem and I got a 5 on it, right? So the same thing works for AP Calculus. If you take BC and you get a 5 or 4, you don't have to take Math 1 and Math 2, which is the equivalent to BC Calculus in high school. So there is a maximum number of credit hours. I'm pretty sure it's what, 36, Adithya?
That you can transfer?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember either. But
So
yeah, I'd
you
say
get a
for
maximum of 30.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to mention that if you do go over the number of transfer credit requirements, they'll decide which ones to transfer and which ones you don't. So, and if you wanna like change that, which I wish I had known, because there's like one of my courses didn't get transferred that I wish it had. But yeah, either way, you should. That's something that like that the previous summer or like maybe at the beginning of the semester you want to meet with your academic advisor and make sure that's figured out, because they won't tell you which ones they transfer. They'll what you won't really know until it becomes an issue. So
You
yeah,
also
that's
choose which credits to report in the first place, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's yeah. And if you're right, if you don't like say specifically you want these transferred, then they'll kind of make that decision for you.
But the other side of that is there is a deadline, like a very strict deadline for which you need to transfer your credits.
Mm-hmm.
And if you miss that, you're out of luck. I mean, you're not going to get denied acceptance into the university, but you're going to have to start from scratch basically, which kind of sucks. So we have a question. Do we have to declare the discipline within the engineering school as part of the application? No, you don't. So the whole purpose of freshman year general engineering is because they don't want students to come in to college with the mindset like, hey, this is what I want to do. You only specify that you're in engineering, and then the students are supposed to make the decision before the beginning of sophomore year. So that's when they make that decision. And sophomore year is when they can start taking major specific classes. So what I mean by major is the same thing as discipline. So other than math and physics, the AP credits that transfer. So I can talk about my case. So math transferred, physics, chemistry, biology transfers. But for most engineering students, they don't need biology.
AP Lang.
Yeah, AP language, AP literature, AP government, and those all transfer as well. AP psychology, and
Yeah.
while those
They're
are
all
not
like transfers electives.
yeah. So while those are not like course like your major related, a part of Virginia Tech's graduation requirements is that you take courses outside your major, and they're called CLEs. So those credits can go towards that. If you do an AP in high school, do you have to take AP in college?
Depends on how you do on the exam, and depends on like what the college says. The college might have their own requirements on if you can transfer for that course.
But colleges don't have AP tests.
Yeah, the colleges just have their own courses.
So dual enrollment courses, so
yeah, that's
yeah, a popular thing
sure.
people do is, okay, wait. So before I answer that question, you do not have to take an AP test twice, right? So let's say you're taking AP chemistry and you don't know what you're doing at all, and you get like a 2. That credit will not transfer. So you have to take it again. But you don't have to take the test again, you just have to take the course, because college doesn't offer AP tests. But let's say you do really good and you ace it, you get a 5, right? If that's the case, you can skip that course altogether in college, right? So it's like you already did it in high school. Now, regarding dual enrollment, it's kind of similar. The only thing is a lot of people, so for example, a lot of people do dual enrollment with multivariable calculus. At least I went to TJ, so a lot of people do multivariable calculus, dual enrolled with a college like GMU, right? So you get that credit from GMU. What you then have to do is transfer the credit from GMU to Virginia Tech, not from your high school. The way that works is for majority of the courses in Virginia Tech's curriculum have an equivalent, especially in the Virginia education system. They have an equivalent to other courses in other colleges, right? So, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but it shouldn't be that difficult to transfer that credit. That information is all available online. You can contact your academic advisor. The important thing is to make sure you do that as soon as you can. So once you get accepted into Virginia Tech, and you decide to go, I would suggest you talk to your academic advisor and be like, hey, I'm taking like artificial intelligence, dual enrolled with GMU. So what steps can I do to make sure that credit transfers to Virginia Tech? It's a pretty straightforward process. But yeah, any other questions regarding transfer credits, both AP and dual enrollment? Again, all the requirements for AP tests are on Virginia Tech's website. So you can easily look that information up yourself, and it's there for everyone to see. And it doesn't usually change every single year, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. Okay. So the next part is co-op, right? So Adithya, can you talk about what a co-op is and how to get started with
Sure. So a co-op it's basically like a work experience that your college also recognizes and gives you credit for. So for me, there's a co-op. I participated in a co-op opportunity with the Hershey company. So my major of chemical engineering, after I apply to the position, after I apply to the co-op position with Hershey and I get accepted, then that's something that I would tell my academic advisor, which would be specific to your major. So you'd have an advisor for chemical engineering, and so if you would tell them that, okay, I won't be enrolling in any courses next semester because I'll be working. And you want to use, in order to stay a full-time student, then you'll be enrolled in a co-op course that the college recognizes, and you won't need to do anything for that course. You'd still be working in your co-op, but you'd still be, but you'd be recognized as a full-time student. And yeah, and that course, you can get credit for that course, and you can use that towards like credits for graduation as well. But yeah, and essentially it's kind of just a good way to, if you wanted to like get some work experience for a couple of semesters instead of taking courses, then this is kind of like a good way to do it without, completely like without having to like go through the process of rejoining college afterwards, because you're still recognized as a student, but you're just going to be getting some work experience instead of academic experience.
Right.
And yeah, I'd say overall it's pretty good. Good idea. And it's worth considering. It's for some people, like they'll do a co-op and they'll extend their graduation, which is something to consider as well, because if you graduate with more work experience, then it makes you a better candidate for when you're applying to your first job. So yeah, there's advantages to that, and yeah, it's something worth considering.
All right, so to Rakesh's question, you're talking about do post APs transfer. I'm assuming you're talking about like courses at TJ, like multivariable calculus and like AI. Yeah, okay, so AI does not transfer, but multivariable could have transferred. I don't know if you know this. Did you get offered the chance to take it dual enrolled with GMU, multivariable? Did you take it? So are you planning on dual enrolling? Okay, so if you dual enroll, the post AP doesn't transfer itself. What happens is that course, since you're dual enrolling with GMU, you'll become a student of George Mason University, right? So now you have a transcript from George Mason. What you can then do is transfer that credit from George Mason to Virginia Tech or whatever college you want. However, depending on the college, I feel like for places like MIT or Harvard, they might not accept that, right? I mean, if that's what you're looking for, because their math classes are considerably more difficult, so they might want to start you from the basics. But for Virginia Tech, all you have to do is go to your GMU website and request a copy of your transcript from GMU to be mailed to Virginia Tech's Office of Student Affairs. Is it better to do dual enrollment than regular? Look, it doesn't make a difference. Dual enrollment,
Well,
the only thing
I'd say so. Like, I'd say that, I mean, if you feel like you've done your best during that dual enrolled course in high school, and you're like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with this grade being on my college transcript, then yeah, you should definitely dual enroll. If you feel like, okay, I could probably do better if I try it again in college, then yeah, then maybe you can, then you don't need to dual enroll.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So depending on your college, like on your high school, like under TJ's multivariable calculus, and probably like other schools as well, like they make Virginia Tech's multivar look like a joke, right? So like you just got to keep that in effect. Your dual enrollment grades do not impact your GPA and VT. They're viewed as pass-fail. So any credit that Virginia Tech takes from another institution, they're treating it as pass-fail. Now, Josh, were you talking about how to transfer into VT from another college? So you obviously apply to the college, you get accepted, right? Then what you do is you request a copy of your official transcript to be mailed from GMU to Virginia Tech, right? Or not GMU, whatever college, right? I was just using GMU as an example for dual enrollment. But you go through that process and the Office of Student Affairs will walk you through the entire process, right? It should be pretty simple. I'll type it in the chat. There is a resource called Virginia Course. I think it's spelled VCCS, catalog for course equivalence. Virginia Tech. I'm pretty sure if you search that up, oh, sorry, I sent this to someone else. All right. So this is a good resource for people in dual enrollment, as well as anyone that's interested in taking summer courses at like Nova, for example.
Yeah.
This details what courses are equivalent to Virginia Tech courses from other institutions. So that should be a good guideline for you to follow.
Yeah. So right. So you can this. I mean, it's even outside of high school. Like if you wanted to, even while you were a student at a specific college, if you were a student at Virginia Tech and you wanted to take a course from a different college and transfer it over, then this is something that's always an option.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about is studying abroad. I personally don't have any experience studying abroad, but I know a lot of people, like in my friend group, that have. Like they've gone to Spain, to Germany. Um, it's a great experience. It is kind of something you have to look into. You have to take into account like your graduation requirements before you do it. But if you can, I would definitely encourage you guys to do so. The one popular one that engineers have is the one to Germany, um, where they basically work in like with people from the automotive industry. As you guys know, Germany is it's like a pioneer in that industry. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of different options. Like I said, Spain, Russia. For those of you guys that want to take a foreign language, you can go to whatever respective country. It's a great opportunity not only to meet people from different countries, but to meet people that attend Virginia Tech. And a lot of these places have like satellite campuses. So I know there's a satellite campus for Virginia Tech in Australia. So if you did study abroad in Australia, you could basically take normal Virginia Tech courses from that area. Anish asked, how is the weather in Blacksburg compared to Nova? The weather in Blacksburg is very interesting.
Generally colder.
Generally colder. Also, it's very indecisive. And what I mean is it changes a lot, right? So one day it might be like very nice weather, and the next day it might be like negative 10 degrees. Like it's crazy. Does it
Yeah.
snow in Blacksburg? Not that much. Sometimes it does. And there's like a whole campus wide like snowball fight is pretty awesome. But yeah, no, the weather, it's definitely like manageable. It's not like the best weather. It's not like going to like California, obviously. And since it is closer to like the mountains and stuff, uh, the weather is a bit different than Nova. But yeah, honestly, the biggest thing with Blacksburg weather is you need to be prepared for a lot of things. So like even if you're going in like you're going for the fall semester, like make sure you pack like winter clothing as well, right? So that's a big aspect. Um, so yeah. After studying, does anyone have any questions about studying abroad? You do get credit for studying abroad, so just keep that in mind as well. The next part is online coursework. So the only reason I'm covering this is right now is because of the whole situation with the coronavirus. And currently Virginia Tech has converted into online courseware. Now, I don't know how long that's going to be, but for those of you guys that are seniors and you guys are going to enter college in the fall semester, I'm pretty sure this is going to be standard amongst a majority of colleges outside of Virginia Tech. But there might be a chance that you guys might not actually be going to college, right? You guys might be able to do your coursework from home. It is a really nice advantage to be able to do like your coursework from home, like have your own time, like because a lot of the courses are self-paced to some extent. Like for your example, your tests, you can take them anytime during the day. Um, it's a very good upside to the current situation that we are in this country. But yeah, that's definitely something you guys are probably gonna have to look forward to. For those of you guys going to Virginia Tech will be making a decision in June regarding the status of the fall semester. So keep that in mind. Summer courses, like all the summer courses happening this summer are also online. So if you guys are thinking about that, just a heads up. What courses do Virginia Tech offer? So this is not like high school where you have like a bunch of different courses you can take, and if you're interested in, you can take it. Um, Most of the courses are going to be returning to your major. At least freshman year, it's more of a general thing, but after that, like it's pretty much major specific. So for mechanical engineering, like I have system dynamics, vibrations, thermodynamics, like there's a bunch of stuff. Mechanical design, a senior lab.
Yeah.
Those are a bunch of courses that they offer for mechanical engineering. But
Yeah.
outside of that,
So.
yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I mean, the way the courses work is like so. There's really nothing stopping you from taking any course besides the prereqs. But if you're like trying to if you're focused on like graduating, then there's only a certain number of courses you can take. But if you're like, okay, I want to I'm kind of interested in this subject and I want to take the course, like there's nothing stopping you. You can, but unless besides the prerequisites.
Yeah, they
So
have
yeah,
like they have mythology, introduction to ancient religions,
theater.
gender studies. Um, I'm pretty sure there's a class about memes somewhere. Like it's crazy. So there's like a lot of different options you guys have. Like it's pretty limitless. But most people, like if you're talking about the courses that matter, uh, they're pretty much what you would expect from your average curriculum for your major. The
Right. So
benefits of
yeah,
early decision.
I mean, basically, even though you can take any course, like, I mean, you'd have to spend money on it, so you'd be probably better off just focusing on your whatever courses you want to take within your major so that you can get the degrees to graduate. But I mean, I guess like that's one way to look at it. If not, then if you're really interested in something, then you can always take um whatever, like you can always take a course that you want to.
Okay. So we're kind of coming up
Huh?
on we're kind of coming up on the time that we have.
What?
So what I'm gonna do is make sure, like I'll answer the current questions that have been asked, but wait till the end of the presentation and ask any questions because it will have a Q&A, okay? But in terms of the questions that have already been asked, the benefits of early decision for Virginia Tech, there's no benefits past getting into college. What it is if you get accepted, you you have to decide by a certain point, and once you make the decision, you're committed, right? So you can't, once you make a decision to a college, you can't back out of it, right? Um, Also, when you're talking about medicine and marketing, Virginia Tech has a good program in,
Business, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have a good business
They have
program.
really good business school for if you which I think marketing is part of. So
Yeah, they also have
yeah,
a major
that's
called BIT, which is Business Information Technology. So that's a very good option. For medicine, they have biomechanical engineering, I'm pretty sure.
right.
But I would
Yeah,
definitely say like
and
VCU, places like that, like within Virginia, like VCU is it's a much more well known for its medical program. So
from what I understand, like the way medicine works is you can if you want to I guess by medicine you mean specifically like the how to get like becoming a doctor, then so like your undergrad, like you would take any major, and then after that you would take an MCAT and then go to medical school. And so Virginia Tech has a medical school as well. It's not it's kind of its own separate thing away from like the undergrad stuff. But yeah, I would say if it's I heard pretty good things about the medical school, which although it's not a part of like the Virginia Tech main campus or like undergrad coursework, it's still kind of like good if you're like if you want to what's it most known for?
it's known for its
Uh,
engineering programs.
yeah, Virginia Tech is probably better known for the its engineering program. But yeah, if you're interested in joining the Virginia Tech Medical School, which I'm not really sure specifically what that medical school is known for, but yeah, then maybe you want to join undergrad, and then you kind of like already have a good you're already like familiar with the environment, so joining the medical school, like your transition would be a bit easier.
Yeah. Regarding Preno's statement, like I don't know the specific like statistics on admission, but I mean that probably is the case. So um, So when I was applying to college, it didn't really make a difference because like 60 kids from my school got into Virginia, like went to Virginia Tech. Like it's crazy, and most of them didn't do early decision or early action. A lot of people do early action, early decision for like higher like league schools, so like the Ivy Leagues. That's what they do, or EA and ED for. Um, but yeah, no, like it's definitely like something you can do. I don't know the specific differences between each, but you can talk to. I'm pretty sure like probably some of the seniors on this chat might be a better resource for that. All right, so extracurricular activities. I'll just go through this real quick because we talked about most of this. Uh, there are research teams on campus. So what that is, they have like a solar car research team. And there's a lot of like engineering STEM related research teams that you can do. Yeah, so in order to be able to participate in those, you have to interview for a position on the team, and once they accept you, then you can start working. You need to put in a certain number of hours to stay in the program. Also, for a lot of these research teams, once you become a senior, you can use the research team projects as your senior design project or your senior not thesis per se, but along the same lines. The next thing is Greek life. So a lot of you guys know about fraternities and sororities. I'm personally not in a fraternity, but I have a lot of friends that are in Greek life, both for fraternities and sororities. And the good thing about those organizations, they do offer a really good chance for networking. However, they do take up a lot of your time and they are pretty expensive. So, I mean, it's up to you. It's like a trade-off. Do you want to get that networking capability, or do you want to improve your GPA and be able to spend more money after you graduate, right? So it's a big thing you need to consider. Intramural athletics, it's basically what it sounds. There's a basketball league. There's a flag football league. There's a MMA club as well. So a lot of those opportunities still exist. The cool thing about intramurals is sometimes the people from the actual basketball team play. So even though you'll lose terribly, like it's still a pretty good experience to like play with different people. It's also a very like useful time of useful. It's a very good use of your time because not only are you making social connections, but you're also getting an exercise. A lot of freshmen ignore that aspect of college. A lot of you guys have heard like the freshman 40 or freshman 15. 40 is a big number. What that means is basically when you enter college as a freshman, you're going to leave freshman year 15 pounds heavier, right? So just make sure you guys keep that in mind. Like you do want to maintain a balance, not of academics and social life, but also personal health and diet. Club sports, contrary to intramural athletics, they're a bit more, they're not part of the NCAA, but you do go to different schools and it's a school team. So I think we have a club sport for gymnastics, I think lacrosse. But yeah, there's also normal athletics. So like that is part of the NCAA. So I know some people on the wrestling team at Virginia Tech. There's some people that I know on the baseball team. But yeah, no, it's definitely something that some students are involved in. But Virginia Tech is a D1 school, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's a D1 school. So, I mean, everything goes along with that. All right, so social life. I already talked about clubs. One thing I did want to stress again is the most important thing that you guys can get from your college experience is, I mean, yeah, you learn like all this stuff about how to like do a three-dimensional model of a design part. But the biggest thing you guys learn is how to interact with other people. I can't stress that enough. Like if you go through college, you get a 4.0 GPA, but you don't know how to talk in an interview, or you don't know how to interact with people that you don't know, then you've pretty much wasted 4 years. Also, an interviewer or a employer, they're not going to hire you if you're like some awkward person that can't hold a conversation. So you do want to keep that in mind. And I think that's one of the biggest thing college helps you guys develop is that sense of like, well, how to be a leader, how to work in a team environment, and how to have other people depend on you and depend on other people. So again, I talked about high school versus college friends. it's good to have your friends from high school, right? I mean, obviously, me and Adithya, we've known each other for a long time and we're still friends, but you do want to expand that. And a lot of people change as soon as they enter college. So it's a very good period to kind of explore what you're about, right? Like what are your interests? And if you want to change your major, it's also time for that. So just keep that in mind. Clubs, again, we already talked about this, but they'll bring this up during orientation. There is an online platform called Gobbler Connect. And we'll send you guys this entire PowerPoint slide. But this Gobbler Connect has a list of all the different clubs they have. They even have like a Quidditch club. So anything you can think of, they have. And again, free time, it's something that you do want to maintain a balance of. You don't want to work yourself to the limit, push yourself to the limit just for like a high GPA. Like you do want to have some free time. Like this college is like, you're going to look back at your college years and you're going to remember like those experiences. Like when like 20, 30 years from now on, you're not going to remember what grade you got on this test. You're going to remember the friends you made. So you do want to maintain a healthy balance. All right, so just a quick summary. Again, college is a one-time experience. Make sure you get everything out of it, both academically, socially, and professionally. The biggest advantage you get from college is interacting with those around you. Find an appropriate balance. And for those of you guys that are seniors, make sure you maintain academic standards despite senioritis. I mean, you guys know what senioritis is, right? Like put in the chat if you guys know what that is. It's basically like your last semester you got into college, you're like, oh, I don't care anymore, right? The problem with that mentality is, number one, it sets you up for failure when you enter freshman year of college. But the biggest thing is getting an internship, right? A lot of freshmen do not get internships after their freshman year. Most people get it after their juniors. And some people don't even get jobs after their seniors. Like it's a very competitive market, especially Virginia Tech. So I was fortunate to get my employment actually through the Pathways program at the National Institute for Standards and Technology. I got that during my sophomore year. And the reason why that was because my resume from high school was already so advanced and so developed because of my GPA, because of my extracurriculars that I did my second half of my senior year, that put me over the top of over other college applicants. So yeah, just to make sure you guys keep that in mind. Like you guys don't want to lose everything that you guys have worked for this entire time. That means also like don't do anything stupid, right? Obviously comply with all the rules because any mistake you make right now will destroy your chances of getting into colleges. I know people that they got into Harvard and all those other colleges from TJ, but they got caught for something as small as like ditching school to get lunch at Five Guys. And they had to call the people at Harvard and tell them like, hey, we got this disciplinary issue. Like it's something that you have to take seriously, even though like the hard parts. Yeah, so obviously the last part of this is how does coronavirus and the online learning methods affect you? It really only affects people that are incoming freshmen, right? So we still don't know the status on that. It's going to be announced in June by the president of the university. So keep an eye out for that. All right, so it's 8:23. The last thing I want to talk about is how to get an internship in college. I covered it previously, but the biggest things you can do to get an internship is maintain a high GPA and network with professionals, right? So the way I was able to get my spot, I did it through a Pathways program. What that means is once I graduate, I'm going to immediately enter the workforce. Because technically I'm already a federal employee, but once I finish my degree, I'll be transferred to full-time, right? So it's a guaranteed job after college. The way I did that, I put out a lot of applications, right? So I put out applications to private sectors, public sectors. LinkedIn was a good resource. I was able to network with professionals that worked at these institutions. And because of that, I was able to score an interview, right? So it's not enough to like just have a good GPA. You also have to develop the connections to get that foot in the door. So yeah, I'm going to open up the floor to Q&A. I know the ending of the presentation was kind of rushed, So if you guys have more time, we'll be here for the next, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes. You guys can feel free to ask any questions.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if as far as internships go, I'd say so. Like after um after your resume, so the first part is sending in your resume, and so there's like a lot of different ways to do that. There's LinkedIn. Virginia Tech has and a lot of colleges use Handshake, which is very similar to LinkedIn, except you'll only see postings for internships and entry level job offers. So that's pretty useful because it kind of knows what you're looking for already, and you'll only see those offers. There's a lot of like different a lot of colleges offer career workshops where you can help improve your resume or improve your interview skills. And then Virginia Tech has a really massive career fair that they do for engineers called Engineering Expo, where you'll see thousands of companies will have booths all around campus, and you can go there and talk to their representatives, introduce yourself, and send in your resume, and that helps your chances of getting an internship or getting an entry level job offer.
Again, like even though
and then
freshmen don't usually get internships after the first year, like it's still a great idea to like put yourself out there, go to those engineering expos, talk to the representatives, and like who knows, they might remember your name or like how impressive your applications are, especially like the smaller companies. Like they're looking for new talent. They're looking for people that will eventually join the workforce. So they're willing to give like these like guaranteed employment internships, like as opposed to like companies like Booz Allen, Hamilton, or like Northrop Grumman. So yeah, no, those career fairs. I mean, we could possibly have like another workshop on like how to do well in a career fair, but they're really good chance like even to talk to people, because I went there once as a volunteer, and that was actually a very good environment for me because I didn't even like, my goal wasn't to talk to anyone. It was to help all the representatives set up their stuff. But in that process, like I ended up talking to a lot of people about what their company is, and like a lot of them were like, "Hey, are you interested in applying?" I mean, at the time I already had a job lined up, but it's still a very good experience. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? Oh, wow. Okay, so Jonathan asked, why did you choose Virginia Tech over the high-ranked engineering schools you were accepted to? So for me, kind of one of the deciding factors was the Corps Cadets program. Also, I have a lot of like coming into Virginia Tech, I knew a lot of people that were also there. So my mentality as a high school senior was like, hey, it might be the best idea to like where I know most of the people. It turns out I still keep in contact with my friends from high school that go to tech, but like for the majority of it, I spend most of my time with some of the new people I've met at Virginia Tech. But yeah, no, Virginia Tech also, the campus is beautiful, right? Like I can't emphasize that enough. Like it's one of the best campuses I've ever seen. Um, the architecture is pretty good. Also the general like, it's not a really official term, but the vibe of the campus is pretty nice. And one of the reasons that I would recommend someone to choose Virginia Tech is also just the social life, right? Like in some colleges, like you look outside your window and like it's like dead, right? Unless people are going to classes. Virginia Tech, you look outside your window, there's like people going to classes, people coming back from classes, people playing frisbee or Quidditch in like the main like drill field, I guess. Or like even like, so I live right next to like restaurants in like the downtown area. Like if you look outside my window, like it's a great view. It's like the night lights. So it is a really nice campus. The health facilities at Virginia Tech. So actually, like they've managed the whole like coronavirus situation pretty effectively. The health center at Virginia Tech, it's called Schiffer. And it is a complimentary service for Virginia Tech students. That being said, like if you get prescribed medication, which they can't prescribe you medication, then that gets charged directly to your account. But yeah, it's a pretty good alternative to finding an off-campus resource that's more expensive. You also don't have to pay a copay with Schiffer, right? So it's a very good thing. And Schiffer's the only health center that can give you a class note for missing class. So like if you're like really sick, like only Schiffer can say, hey, this guy was too sick to go to class.
Get
yeah, no,
free
it's
flu
pretty good.
shots. Like, yeah, they
They
have.
also have- yeah,
You can get like, yeah, they'll have like, things like free flu shots as well, which is pretty nice. And even like outside of the VT campus, they have other healthcare facilities. Like there's a clinic, a Carolean clinic or something, and then there's
Washington.
yeah, and then there's emergency care. So, and I've heard like generally like when people I haven't heard any people with like horrible experiences. So
The only thing is Schiffer ends its operating hours at like COB, I think. So if you have a issue that like it comes up suddenly in the night, yeah, they do have options like very close to campus for people that need that urgent care. But yeah, no. So yeah, Schiffer definitely has. It also has mental health resources. So that's something that Virginia Tech takes
Cook's
very
Council.
seriously. Obviously, some kids they end up feeling stressed out when they come to Virginia Tech. There's also a lot of issues like getting over personal loss, and Virginia Tech has a lot of services and programs to help people cope with that. They also, I mean, not that you guys would need it, but they also have like addiction counseling. There's like anything that you guys would think like a normal like I would say like a community center has, they would have too. So it's a very comprehensive healthcare center. So Anish asked, how is the course rigor for the classes compared to TJ? So your freshman year and your sophomore year, your beginning of your sophomore year, you don't really learn anything, right? Because a lot of it's like your basic math classes. Is
Yeah.
oh, sorry, my my computer exited out of Zoom. But yeah, so as I was saying, like freshman year and sophomore year, you're not really getting that much because the level of rigor at TJ is very high. Course, like when you're comparing course to course. For example, like multivariable calculus, like I went to the first like 2 or 3 classes, and after that, like I didn't really like. There's a point where I started like not paying attention and started doing other work for other courses in that class, and eventually like I kind of just like only went to like turn in major assignments because like for me like I got like over 100 in multivariable at college, whereas like at TJ like that's a hard course. I know for those of you guys that are TJ students, like you guys can like speak on it. Like for those of you guys that had Dr. Osborne, like that's a whole another level of difficulty. Like it's crazy. So for the first like I guess a third of your college education, college will be a breeze. But after that, there's a lot of things that like TJ doesn't really prepare you for. Right? One of the things that TJ doesn't really do that great of a job for some people is preparing you how to think critically, right? So what I mean by that is like you'll be able to like memorize, but at a certain point, like in college, like that stuff doesn't matter. Like a lot of classes in college have more like practical based applications. Like that's how you learn For example, like a class I'm currently taking is mechanical design. And the thing about that class is, yeah, I can know the formulas, but like if I don't know how to apply them and actually make like a working product, then I'm out of luck, right? So you just got to keep that in mind. Like it will be a breeze at the beginning, which is very nice to get adjusted, but the difficulty really ramps up after a certain point. And that's the same for like most colleges. I know Virginia Tech is especially different because it's one of the top mechanical engineering schools in the country. But I could definitely see like my friends at Purdue who are just doing computer science says computer science at TJ is a joke compared to what they do over there, right? So it really depends on your major, but that's my stance on TJ versus Virginia Tech. Okay. So someone asked, what's the approximate semester cost? Okay.
Compared to other engineering schools, I'd say I hear that Virginia Tech is better at like connecting you with employers than other engineering schools. Because like you'll see, I know for my major, there's someone who's always sending emails about open positions at different companies for entry level or internships or co-ops. So it's they really try to like uh, give you every advantage possible in terms of connecting you to an employer. Yeah, like I said, there's the engineering expo, which is just one couple like 2 days or yeah, about I think it's 2 days, but yeah, they where you'll have companies from all around the country just trying to recruit Virginia Tech students. um and it's there's also like small things too, like if you wanted to if you needed clothes for an interview, you can rent out clothes, or there's yeah, you can rent out clothes for an interview. There's interview workshops, there's resume workshops, they do a pretty good job of like trying to give you just every advantage in terms of in terms of finding a job. So I think they do a pretty good job. I don't know if it's better than other engineering schools, but I'd say they do a very good job.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to that, like, I'm pretty sure the average starting salary for a mechanical engineer coming out of Virginia Tech is around 60 to 70,000. Which, I mean, you compare it to your parents, like some of your parents' income, like, oh yeah, that doesn't seem that much. But for someone who just exited college, like that's a pretty significant number. And the graduation rate, not the graduation rate, the employment rate after graduation, so how many kids on the podium or on the stage have a job lined up, is pretty high. Um, I know for me, uh, so I'm in the Corps Cadets, as I mentioned before. In our class, the employment rate is, I think it's around 80%, right? So I'm pretty sure like I don't know if that's around what Virginia Tech is, but I mean, it's a pretty good like estimate of how Virginia Tech does it overall. The best part about Virginia Tech is once you're like a student of Virginia Tech and you leave and you're an alum, like there's definitely like this thing that connects people that like alums and students. So it's a very good like environment and networking opportunity for people that attend Virginia Tech. Like I've definitely met people like even not even in a professional environment. Like I would go to like B Dubs, right? So that's Buffalo Wild Wings, right? And it'd be like someone's birthday, and they would come up to us, and there'd be a student alum sitting right next to us, and we start talking to them, and bam, just like that, you might end up with an internship. So it's a very nice like community, if you want to say. So someone said, I got an admission in University of UIUC, VT, and UMD for computer science. Okay, so for computer science / engineering, are you leaning more towards computer science well, computer science is engineering, but are you leaning more towards like, I guess, computer science or computer engineering? Okay, so that changes it. I know UIUC is really good for computer science. I think UMD has a pretty good CS program too.
Yeah, they have like a cybersecurity specialty. So, I mean, if that's something you want to do, that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, but VT has a very good computer engineering department. It's a very hard program, but we do have a pretty good computer engineering department. Again, there's a list of statistics online that can give you a more accurate representation. But if you're leaning towards computer engineering, I would suggest Virginia Tech, but also I'm kind of like partial to Virginia Tech. So there is that.
Yeah, like I'd say, in reality, if computer engineering is something that you're like really interested in, then if you go to either of these colleges, they're all like very renowned engineering programs, then you'll do well. And it's I guess if the thing that would separate is like how much you put into it. So yeah, that's yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, it more has to do with you when it comes to this tier of engineering schools.
Yeah. So does anyone else have any other questions? Okay. Last, like, just kind of like a leaving remark, like Virginia Tech is definitely like, it is one of the top like mechanical engineering schools in the country, and I think it's like in engineering in general. But one thing you guys do also want to realize, there's other factors that go into choosing what college you want to do, other than like, oh look, this is its ranking on USA colleges, right? Like I think a lot of you guys, especially if you're not seniors yet, one thing that I would recommend you guys do is take time during your spring break or your winter break. I don't even know if they do it during winter break, to go and visit colleges, right? For me, like I visited a couple, and that was one of the main reasons I wanted to join Virginia Tech, right? Like the environment there it's amazing. I would recommend anyone to go into it regardless of your major, just for the experience of being a member of that community. But yeah, no, definitely take that opportunity. Talk to your academic advisors. Talk to students you know that are like me and Adithya, people that you know are in college. Talk to them. They'll give you a better idea of other colleges. Like obviously, I'm partial. Me and Adithya are both partial to Virginia Tech, but yeah, I mean, definitely like don't look at colleges like, oh, my parents want me to go to this college. Like that's where I'm going to go, right? Like you're spending 4 of your own years there. So make sure you guys think about the decision a lot before you commit. Other than that,
Uh,
do you have anything to say?
yeah, that's about it. Yeah, no, right. I mean, no matter which college you go to, I'd say the most important thing that you can do to like ensure success is like always just try and I guess make sure that you're, like you said, like have a good balance between like academic life and free time, and then also make sure that whatever you're doing is something that you feel is okay. I made this decision. This is something that I feel comfortable spending 4 years doing. So yeah, that's what I'd say is the most important part of uh, like the college experience.
Yeah, if you guys want any like help with like resume building or even like college essay applications, like feel free to let us know. We'll definitely like, especially with like the like resume building, like I can help you guys with that. Um, but yeah, and especially if you're going to Virginia Tech, like look me up when you get there, right? A good time. So, one more question. If you guys have time, some of the babies. Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Michigan, and Purdue, aerospace engineering. Okay, so Michigan and Purdue. Okay, I would say I mean, obviously I'm like a student of Virginia Tech, but I would say like Georgia Tech and I want to say Michigan. Wait, let me do some research real quick.
Yeah, I know. I think two people who go to Georgia Tech Aerospace, and they've said that it's yeah, it's pretty rigorous, pretty involved. Um, I don't actually know many people who in aerospace for Virginia Tech, but I'd say, but from what I hear, it's yeah, it's even yeah, Virginia Tech, it's a pretty involved program as well. So you're trying to decide. Yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, I'd say it's all at a similar level. I hear that Georgia Tech's aerospace school is like has like some specific opportunities associated with it, so it's worth looking into. But yeah, generally, yeah, just yeah, think about like which maybe visit the campus, like see if that's kind of the environment you're interested in. Consider price point, obviously. So
Yeah, so
I,
Virginia Tech is in-state. Like out-state tuition actually like jumps by a lot, right? It's not like a small amount. It's like 11,000 to what, like 20,000?
right, yeah, something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
to answer your question, I'd say it's all at a similar level. I hear that, but I mean, you would have to, that would be kind of like depend on the person you ask.
So yeah, I mean, as of now, like I just did some quick research. So in terms of top aerospace schools, you're looking at Georgia Tech, Michigan, Purdue, and then Virginia Tech in that order. Georgia Tech, Michigan, and Purdue are all very close, right? So I wouldn't like differentiate between those two. And like if you were to choose between those three, if I were you, I would choose Georgia Tech. But now choosing between Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech, that's a whole other thing. That's a system of trade-offs. Like, do you want to go to a school with a better aerospace program where you're paying out of state tuition, or go to Virginia Tech, which still has a very good aerospace program? Like I know a lot of people in aerospace, but it's in-state tuition, right? There's a lot of things you have to consider. It's not just, oh look, this ranking's better. But in terms of ranking, Georgia Tech is better. It is definitely going to be a hard decision. The biggest thing is like you're not going to regret your decision, right? I'm going to say that right now. Like most people, they don't regret it.
And now I can't.
Yeah, so I mean, you're not going to regret it. That's the biggest thing. So whatever decision you make, just make sure like you fully invest your like personality and like your time into that college, right? That's pretty much like I can't make a decision for you, but I'm glad to be of any help. All right. If there's no other questions, I think we can end the call. Does anyone come in?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, sounds good. Well,
Can I just end the call? Yeah. All right. So I'm ending the call right now. If you guys have any questions, just email any of the. This is through guys for you, right?
Yeah, we have the recorded video will be uploaded.
Yeah, we're uploading the recorded video. If you guys have any other further questions or personal consultations you want, just let any of the supervisors know, and we'll help you with that. Other than that, it's nice talking to you guys. I wish you all luck.
yep. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck in your process. And yeah, if like Rishabh said, if you need someone to talk to about tech, then I'll also be willing to answer any questions. So,
Okay, thank you, Adithya and Rishabh and everyone joining.
all right. Bye.
Thank you so much for such an informative session. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, first I need to stop the recording.